Welcome back to another episode of Ideas to Human Better. I am your host, Eva Payne, and today it is an incredible honor to host several of the gentlemen from our last Flow Life retreat. They came into the retreat as strangers and left as a brotherhood. And first and foremost, before I introduce the gentlemen, I'm going to introduce Dream, which I don't know that we've done a podcast together yet, but this is
Haven't.
Dreamy. This is the
Hi.
beautiful soul that I run retreats with. Hi.
Hi.
I'm so excited to see you. Thanks for
You
being
too.
here.
Of course.
I'm excited to talk to the guys and see where it goes. So with that, we're going to bring some people on. This is Josh, and we have Carl, who's just going to be using his voice today, lending his voice to the conversation, and Michael and Ben. Thank you, gentlemen, so much for being here today and being willing to talk about the retreat, your experience at the retreat, and with the medicine in general, and all the good stuff. So welcome.
Good to be here.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us on.
I'm so excited. This is like a little reunion. We're less than 2 weeks out from when you were all at the retreat. So I'm going to spotlight different ones of you as you guys are speaking. So let's see if I'm able to do that. I've never had so many people on a stream at one time before. So I feel really important and
Exciting.
It is exciting. So I'm just going to open it up first to whoever wants to talk. This is what I'm looking for today, and hopefully you guys can lend to this. A little bit about you. So, like we did in our introductory call, like what the heck brought you to the retreat? Why would you say, okay, yeah, let me sign up for some retreat where I don't know anyone and we're going to be taking some mushrooms and doing some other modalities. Maybe you've heard of them, maybe you haven't. And what brought you to that place in your life? Josh, I'm going to start with you.
Well, I got thrust to the retreat probably quicker than most of the people here. I probably about 2 weeks to really decide whether I wanted to do this. So it was pretty neat in that regard that I had to make some quick decisions. But what brought me there was probably like everybody else, just had some lack of confidence. I've always been really hard on myself, and I definitely locked away some feelings for a long time. Pretty unemotional, been hurt, and just learned to, throw them away so that you don't have them, you can't get hurt. And so that's really what brought me here. And I couldn't be happier that I had the opportunity. I probably was more nervous than anyone, I think, because I wasn't sure if it would really work. I truly thought I was that broken on some level. So I was definitely a little nervous about it. And I typically would have wanted to research this for years to decide what I wanted to do. So to have to make a quick decision was hard. So I definitely was putting it out there for me, for what would be my typical. But I was so lucky to do this. And thank you guys for, allowing me to come on the trip. It was amazing.
So excited to have you, Josh. Wait, real quick question for you. So when you talk about like being disconnected from your emotions, how did you know? Like a lot of people, I don't even know, have an awareness around what the areas that they'd like to improve. How did you know the areas that you wanted to improve in your life?
I think I just noticed it in relationships where things just, never progressed to where they should have with a girlfriend. And so it was easy to say like, dude, you need to open up a little bit more to that. And also too, I mean, just, heartache. I was like, when tough things happen, I could just walk away from it. And also knowing like, you shouldn't be able to do that. Like, that's not how this works. And so, I think just knew deep down that something wasn't right. And then, with the help of a friend kind of pointing that out and saying, hey, like, that's not normal. You can fix it. It's probably the first time I ever thought, oh, wow, I could, like, how? And that's really what got this whole process rolling. So.
Thanks, Josh. That was awesome. I love it. I appreciate you. Thanks for sharing.
Thank you.
All right, Ben, you're in the middle of my screen, so I'm going to solo lay out you. Tell us what brought you here and a little bit about you.
Yeah, I was a former firefighter paramedic for 13 years. I worked for some big cities and left the fire department when I realized it wasn't good for me and my family life, and kind of became, I guess, a serial entrepreneur after that. and so I've like launched a few businesses and always am into that. And I really started struggling with some symptoms of PTSD around the time I left the department. And then kind of again this year when some stressful events happened and kind of like re-triggered some stuff for me.
Mhm.
And so I had been really researching like how do you heal from this, I guess. And so I'd found and done some ketamine treatments that had been really helpful, but I couldn't get all the way over the hump, I guess. So that's what led me to seek out like where could I get this guided experience with psilocybin, because the research was just super promising in healing from PTSD, and that's where I found you and got to the retreat. Yeah.
I love it. And boy, did you have an experience.
Yeah, for sure.
Hear how you've been over the last couple of weeks. Michael, thank you for being here. Let's bring you to the center stage, sir. What brought you to the retreat?
Well, the story. I had lost my wife in the last year, along with my dog and the other thing, country western song here. And I was stuck in my life. 71, and didn't know what to do. Retired, and just stuck in life. I was closing people out. I didn't want to let anybody in. Kind of just passively waiting to hang on, and I don't know, until the end. My daughters, my family kept hanging. Kept me in it. Wouldn't let me just go off in the sunset. But so I was stuck. I knew the power of psilocybin, and I knew I needed to get unstuck. And I so happened to catch Flow Life on the internet, read about it, contacted Eva, and here I am.
Here you are.
Yes.
What an honor, a privilege to
Oh,
know you, sir.
what a pleasure.
Thank you. All right, Sir Carl, your voice is everything. I'm going to solo layout you. What brought you to the retreat, sir?
Well, Josh mentioned that he would have researched this for years, and I practically did. I'm sort of the Boy Scout for corporate America. I climbed the ladder, and I've done all the things that one is supposed to do, that family and society and spouse and everybody tells you to do. And I did it, and from all looks and appearances, everything looked pretty good, but I didn't feel it inside. And so I started researching all this. I've been on antidepressants, all sorts of, in my executive world. And I just decided I don't think life is supposed to be this way. So I researched a lot on psilocybin, and I found you after one of my very good friends who has done some men's retreats with another group, suggested I do this. And after my research, I found you. And I'm going to go ahead and add that I met with my good friend who suggested this to me right after our retreat. And he was extremely impressed with all the modalities that you use in Flow Life Inc. So I guess we're all spoiled that way.
Yeah.
Not everybody gets that as we did.
Well, I love it. We're just always asking the question of how do we make it better? I mean, the idea of being able to serve a lot of people really excites us, but also that takes away from some of the more personal stuff that we get to do in a smaller retreat setting, which I think is really important and a part of this process, because you can, well, I shouldn't say you can just find the medicine, but you can. We're not too many degrees away from someone. And it's one thing just to take it, and it's another thing to take it in a setting that is really supportive. So I'm curious for each of you. Josh, we'll start with you. What was your favorite thing about the retreat? Or maybe what surprised you? Either what surprised you or what was your favorite thing? How about we'll start with that?
I guess I was so nervous about whether this could work for me that I was surprised it did. Like, I was just so thrilled that I got to pull back the curtain and just see my life from a different vantage point and, see all the silly nonsense that I'd allowed in all these years and, all these ideas of who I was. So that was the big thing for me. I couldn't have been more impressed with the medicine to think that it could do that for you. Like, it blew me away. It was unbelievable. So that was my huge experience.
Okay, so I'm curious what that even means. Like, I know what it means because I get it, I understand it, but for someone on the outside, when you say like, "Oh, it worked," or I didn't know it could show me these aspects of myself, how would you explain that to someone? What does that even really mean?
Well, I guess for me it was I've been so hard on myself, and I guess just I realized that the past really is silly. It doesn't even exist, and here I was deciding all these things about who I was based on it. To say that's just ludicrous, like, and dumb. You live in the now, and then also too, just say it's all about love in the end. That's all it is, and share your love with other people that you care about in the present, because this is your experience and this is all your experience will ever be, and be the best you can be to everyone else, and sharing the experience, which is amazing. We get to to do this today, and that's all it came down to, and everything else was really just nonsense. And that was a big breakthrough for me, because I truly think I would have been that guy who figured it out one day in hospice care, right? That all the stuff and things I did and all this stuff, that none of it actually mattered. It was just the people and the moments I shared with them. And so the drug, to be able to just pull that back and show that to you, I mean, just explodes my brain. I mean, it's unbelievable.
I love you. It's exactly right. Like, we just take care of the human vessel. The medicine does its job. Like, we just got to get you through the 6 hours and you're good.
It's unbelievable just to have a whole new vantage point. And then obviously we all get to do the work now, which is, hey, don't lose that, and make the changes so that you can, see it differently from here on out and not get sucked back into, what is normal life for all of us.
Yeah.
Josh 2.0 is great.
I mean, hopefully I'm better than 1.0. I mean, it's not too much to get better than that guy, right?
I liked 1.0. He was all right.
Oh,
But this
you're
guy,
great.
he knows what's up.
You're great.
I love it. Thank you. Ben, what about you? What about your highlight, your aha, something for you, something about your journey that like really
Yeah.
stood out for you? Something from being at the retreat.
I think for me, I know your initial question was like, what was the most surprising?
Yeah.
I think to me, the most surprising, you had all these other modalities, and the breath work and the meditations, it just really took me, I guess, places that I wasn't expecting, and took me into a deeper experience. And I think part of it was because like we all just played 100%, like everyone at the retreat. And I think it speaks to you guys that you're just able to pull that out of people. But like, I felt like the breath work for sure. Like, I had like visions, and I kind of was just shocked, because like, I feel like I had like at least, 3 to 4 like different journeys, like including the medicine, with the psilocybin, where like I really learned and had different things pointed out about myself, or and so that was really surprising. Like, I was a big believer in the psilocybin, because there's just so much scientific research out there, on it. But just some of the other modalities and the guided meditations, and it's specifically the breath work too, was just, I guess, shocking to be able to access kind of like those different states of consciousness, even without the medicine. And so one of the realizations that I kind of had during my journey was that like I am the solution. I'm the medicine, and like we have this ability to heal ourselves. And yeah, so like my journey was like pretty difficult, just dealing with all the negative beliefs I had picked up about myself through being exposed to like a lot of trauma, and then just like absorbing that. So it was like really difficult, but like just seeing that like you don't even need, like I certainly felt like I needed psilocybin to really get the healing I needed, but like that healing is accessible to anyone, whether or not, you know, you go down the psilocybin route or whether you do some other modality.
Thank you. That's so great. Especially with Dream and I wanting to do like a little half-day retreat where we're calling it like You Are the Medicine, where we
Mhm.
don't give people any actual medicine besides oxygen, or
Mhm.
like
Yeah.
some food. But that's the idea. Like, how do we bring these modalities that are legal across the board to anyone? How do we bring the meditation, the breath work, the sound healing, these the movement, how do we bring some of these things to people so they don't feel so woo? I know for Josh, like for you, just all of it seemed like a little bit out there to begin with, and it took you like a second. Like, I know you told Dream you're about to like pack up night one, like, what is this? This is a little bit too woo, but you hung in there, and I'm so glad you did. Yeah, so thank you, Ben, for saying that. It means a lot.
I mean it. I believe it.
Yeah. Yeah. And Josh, what do you want to say about that? Hanging in there to anyone who thinks like it's a little too woo.
Yeah, I mean, I hadn't had time to wrap my brain around it, and so it just seemed, very woo to me. And being so unemotional. I mean, gosh, I having to stare into Carl's eyes there that first time, I was like, man, I don't know if I can do this. So,
Hey, I was just as uncomfortable as you were.
but I mean, the connection you make with these people, the way you guys set up the retreat, all the modalities you show us, I mean, gosh, it couldn't be done better. And it is just amazing. I could not say enough good things about it.
Oh,
Thanks,
thanks.
Josh.
I'm so happy. Michael, what about you? What's your surprise, your takeaway, the thing about the retreat
Oh.
that really you're just like, wow, I'm glad I went?
Let me think. No, I could just reiterate what Ben said. I knew the medicine was good. I knew the power of it, the different modalities, the preparation up to, and then the journey, and then the integration. The integration was principal to our whole experience. So my surprise, oh my gosh, everything. I was kind of in a constant state of surprise. I think one thing that really stuck out to me, that really, because I was dealing with separateness and pushing people away, is the love of everyone that worked with us. The love, the intention, the integrity of everyone that took care of us. Uh, uh, that alone blew me away. All those exercises, the meditation, like Ben, took me places I haven't been in 71 years, and that's a lot. The medicine was, and how I was working with it, was principal to why I went there. My intention is to get connected, and also, to grieve, to find out what grieving to do, to grieve, to let that go. And I was able to, which was phenomenal. My grief is in a totally different place. And so so the surprise was, these 5 strangers that took care of us, that I generally, have a hard time trusting people, that I allowed in and took awesome care. Their knowledge, how they took us to all the modalities, their knowledge of the modalities that helped through those. I guess I didn't pick. Okay, the special thing was the love. Okay.
I love it. Oh, Michael. I got to tell you what, one of my favorite moments was sitting on the couch with you downstairs in the middle of your journey and you saying, could we talk about my wife? I haven't had a chance to really talk about her with someone. And I said, let's do it right now. Like, why not right now? And then I asked you what you loved most about her, and your response is how she entered a room. Like, hello, how many women out there just want someone to say that about them? I love how she entered a room. I could just feel the love that, and then you went on to say her smile, her voice. I mean, just her essence, her beingness, just who she was is what I felt from you. And to be able to be a part of that little ripple of your love for her, and to see it and experience it in that moment. Thank you so much for sharing that. What a very special lady, and to be loved by you. You're a good man, Michael.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was beautiful. Thank you for that. Sir Carl.
Yeah.
What about you, sir?
Some of my favorite points that surprised me, the morning meditations were big for me. The breath work was great. But the art therapy, when in the integration, I forgot that I took art in high school all 4 years, and I'm in my late 50s now. And I picked up a paintbrush, and I really enjoyed it. I brought home my artwork, and my mom, actually my wife, said, wow, I've never seen you be able to do something like that. She didn't know that I could do that. So that surprised me quite a bit. One of the goals I had coming in was to get off this antidepressant that I've been on for 25 years. I've tried for about 10 to go off of it. And after that weekend and the journey, I am still only taking half a dose, which is pretty amazing when I think about it, because I've even tried to cut it down like by 10% at times, and I haven't been able to. So fingers crossed, we'll keep on going. And I've slept better than I ever have in the last week.
Sweet. Great.
I love it.
That's awesome, Carl.
Yeah. So I'm curious for you guys. I mean, I know we're only like a week and a half out, but my next question for you, and then I'll open up the floor to you to say whatever you want to say, or Dream, if you have any questions for them too, or any thoughts on hosting these men's retreats and what you've learned from them. My question for you is, what have you noticed in your life, even just in the last week and a half? What has shifted, whether it's your perspective with how you respond to things, how you feel about life or yourself? So what shifts have you seen in your relationships with others, whatever it might be? What's been one or two of the biggest shifts? And we'll just start back with you, Josh. What do you think? Shifts in your life over the last week and a half from being at the retreat.
I mean, I'll stick with my theme of love, where I have definitely probably not loved myself like I should have, for sure. And so I have tried really hard to pay attention to, what that monologue is in my head. And I feel like it's been much, much better. And then I have definitely, with the holidays, I went out, and gosh, I called and texted so many friends to reconnect. And I hope they don't all talk, because they'll wonder what's going on with me. But individually, I reached out to so many people, and I sent a message to my father, who's a pretty quiet guy, and I'm sure that's where I got it from. And I mean, he wrote back the nicest message to me that I've probably ever had from him in my entire life. And it was just because I wrote a nice message to him. And so I just realized that, gosh, you can put out there a different you and get an entirely different thing back. And I don't know why it took you that long to figure it out, but let's keep doing that. So
Yeah. What if it's just imperfect timing and it's not that it took you so long? It
yes,
was just
true,
meant
true.
to be right now.
Yes.
I'm so proud of you, Josh.
So thank you guys. And for anyone listening, I would just say, I mean, this is amazing. And if you're thinking about it, you should really, really, really consider doing it. I can't say enough good things. And I truly would have been the person that said, this is all hippie stuff. Like this isn't really like this. And I was totally wrong. And I'm so happy that I'm wrong. So
Yeah. I mean, it might be a little hippie stuff, but maybe the hippies knew something.
yeah,
I don't know. That's just kind of what I think. Like maybe they kind
What
of
did
knew
you call
something.
it? Hippy dippy? It was hippy
Yeah.
dippy stuff.
Yeah.
I think imperially it is a little bit hippie.
Yeah. I mean,
That's okay with me.
yeah, it's okay with me too. You know, I mean,
Oh,
I wasn't
love
here
it.
then, but I'm going to channel in that energy because they're all about the love. And I think that's ultimately who we are. We are love. We are creative, loving beings. And we're just coming back online to that. It's just taking a little bit of time for us to remember that. So yeah, it's awesome. Thank you, Josh, for sharing. Ben, what about you? How are things shifted for you? Where are you at now in the last week and a half? I mean, I know we just went through the crazy holidays and you have littles at home who haven't been feeling well. So any ahas or revelations or anything for you?
I know one thing that I immediately noticed upon coming back home was I guess I had more space to respond emotionally, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like I had space to like feel a feeling and like not immediately react.
Mhm.
And like I noticed because I had done microdosing before the retreat, and I noticed like that was the first time I noticed that. But like it seemed even I had more space to respond, and so that was definitely different within the first like few days coming home.
Mhm.
And then an interesting revelation I've had because it's been a rough couple days. There's been like some I guess trials over the last week, as you know, one of them being the sick kids, and I hate that. Like I don't like throwing up. Like I don't like dealing with like my kids do that. And like I was hoping like, oh, like I'm hoping after the medicine like things will just be easier to deal with. So I like struggled with that for a little bit because I was like, well, it's not easier. And then I realized like, oh, like you just have to think back to like what you're telling yourself you believe about yourself.
Mm.
And so then having realized that and like just trying to put that into practice like every morning, you know, with affirmations and going through like tapping and stuff. And so I guess I just and then just having grace for yourself. I think that's a big thing. And I know Josh, you touched on this earlier too, but just learning like I'm gonna mess up. I'm not gonna be the man I want to be all the time.
Mhm.
But like that's okay, and I can still love myself and apologize. And I think that's one big thing with psychedelic medicine in general is like I've really learned I feel like how to apologize better and like not take it so personally when I've screwed up, but just have some grace for myself and then just apologize and I guess tap back into the love. Like anyone with psychedelic medication experience will like talk about that, like where you really have this feeling of this love outside of yourself.
Mm.
And I think we've all felt that. And I guess if kind of like Josh said too, like if you're listening to this and you don't feel like you really love yourself, like, and you're considering exploring this, like I think it's the best way to really learn about love and loving yourself and loving other people. So
Yeah. Thank you. Appreciate you sharing that, Ben.
yeah.
Very well said, Ben. I feel the exact same way. I mean, that's definitely what the medicine taught me more than anything, I think, during my journey was, the gifts and strength and the love that we
Mhm.
can have for ourselves, and that comes from source, that comes from universe, that comes from God, whatever you may want to call it. But
Yeah.
I definitely felt that love.
Mhm. For sure. Yeah.
Michael, what about you? Thank you, Ben.
Hey.
How have things been over the last week and a half or so after, you leave this very
Goodness.
safe, loving space and you go back home, and how have things unfolded for you?
Um, the first night getting home, once I got home and driving home, there was this peace and just wonderful feeling. Felt happy, fulfilled at peace. Got home, unpacked. It was like, oh, my house just feels really great. And I sat down for a while. I turned on the TV, and I quickly found that I don't want to watch TV.
Yeah.
Nothing on there interests me at all. And then I don't know, maybe I think it's kind of my old thought process. All of a sudden, like the wheels of my car started falling off. I started feeling anxious and scared again, like I'm losing the glow. I'm always afraid of losing the glow. And so, eventually I found myself, I felt like I had to go back into meditation mode, retreat mode. I laid down, put the eye shades on, listened to a nice meditation, and again, I remember the term, what go down, or just go in,
Yeah,
go into
drop
it,
in.
drop
Just
in. That's it.
Yeah, just let
I
go,
just kept
just
saying, that's
drop
okay,
in.
drop it.
Yeah.
And I was there for a while, and then felt kind of peaceful. Went to bed early, which is rare for me. The next day, I got up. I got a new dog. I went down to the Humane Society, and I adopted a dog. She was actually waiting for me, but she's identical to my last one. It's really beautiful. So after that, I remember, actually, I think it was that morning meditation. I remember looking out, and during the meditations, and looking out of your picture window and starting to picture a future. I had no future, before I came down to this retreat. I couldn't envision a future. I could always envision a future, and I was unable to anymore. There were just successive moments of now, which is fine, but they don't pull you forward.
Mhm.
So I went back to the picture window, and I remember, gosh, one of ladies who zoomed in talking about a door, opening up that door.
Mhm.
And I believe Ben and I both talked about, man, we touched the knob and we were through.
Yep.
And I opened that picture window, and I remember going through, and I picture a future. I I picture what that looks like, and it's revitalizing. I can do that every day.
Yes,
Um,
you can.
and connections. I have been just, it hasn't been like a checklist. Like, okay, my job is connect with people. Okay. Um, I didn't attach anything to, like a checklist, like I have to do anything. And I connected with a lot of people. Um, I, two people, I was just driving by, said, oh, you know what? I need to see them. And I pulled in, and it was like, very dear friend opened the door and about jumped out of the door to hug me. you know. And I was thinking all this, you know, it's like, you know, I have no good excuse, you know. I'm just this, you know. She didn't want to hear it, you know. It was just like, oh, I'm so glad to see you. She hasn't seen me in about a year, you know.
Yes, yes. People want to
Um,
see you. I'm glad you're
yes,
coming out of the shell that has been your grief so you can reconnect with the humans in your life.
it is way cool. Um, yes. So that's kind of been effortless. Like, you know, like I mean, I'm not really trying things I need to do. It's like, oh, let's do it.
Yeah.
Um, I want to, you know, also I had a Thanksgiving dinner with my daughter, which was pretty amazing. And I have been kind of detaching from her. And Carl and I have had a really meaningful conversation about this. And Carl, I had one of the most powerful conversations with my daughter. And, you know, the boyfriend wasn't even in the picture. She didn't even want him around, which was kind of good. But the reconnection was just very powerful. And, you know, just my commitment to her not to do it again. You know, I may not like what she does, but I will always be here listening. So that was a real powerful experience. Uh, yeah.
It's
Um,
beautiful. Thank you, Michael. What
you're
about for
welcome.
you, Carl? How has life shifted, if it has, over the last week and a half, over these Thanksgiving holidays?
There's so many layers to unpackage on this experience. I spent 2 straight days talking to my good friend who helped me integrate, and I didn't think I was ever going to shut up. Um, but the main things I walked away with is everything's a choice, and we're constantly creating our reality and what's going on, and setting those intentions each day. That's been critical for me. And I think at the end of the day, is one of the things I've decided is that not everything requires my opinion or my reaction. And I just, I just kind of watched things happen over Thanksgiving. And Michael and I shared, we had that moment where we both have a child that's dating someone who we don't like. And that was one of my things. And I actually gave this young lady at my Thanksgiving a huge hug. And my wife later said, "Have you noticed she's happier this year?" And I said, "No, I haven't really noticed. I'd like to think it was my hug that did it, but maybe she's just happy."
It
It's
was that
definitely your
Hawaiian
energy.
prayer you did.
I know it could be that, but yeah, the choices and the intentions that we make throughout the day, that's good for me, because in my world, everything, and in everybody's world, every guy's world, everybody's pulling at your attention. It's not your kids, it's your spouse, it's your clients, it's whatever. And it was great to just spend some time over that weekend, paying attention to myself and pulling at myself to make me figure out what's the next move.
Yeah, I love it. Okay, Carl. So, what is the next move for each of you? What is next for you? What are you working on? What are you excited about? What is the next couple weeks or months look like for you? And maybe how's that different than prior to coming to the retreat? So, any aspect of that. That'll be my last question for you. And then I'll go to Dream for any comments about men's retreats or these retreats in general. So, what about for you, Carl? What are you looking forward to?
Um, so I have, as the other guys on this call have talked about, you can do everything with love, and I've been trying to do that, whether it be correcting somebody, a kid, a grandkid. Um, that's one of the short-term things. Like I mentioned about 10 times over the weekend, I was really wanting to get into a journaling habit. I've been doing a little bit of it, but not as much. But I'm actually long-term looking at changing careers, and maybe teaching other people to do what I did and maybe do it better. Kind of like what you're doing, Eva. You're showing people how to human better. I might show people how to move up the corporate ladder better.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I love it. We need very conscious humans in really important spaces in the world. And so if you can use your intelligence and all the things that you have gained over the years and bring more love and compassion into that space, it would be remarkable. So please go and do that thing.
got
I
it.
will be your cheerleader over here on the sidelines rooting for you. Thank you. Thank you. Ben, what about you? We'll go in reverse order. What about you, sir?
Yeah, I think the number one thing that I'm excited about and I am working towards is I just want to be present. It just seems like it's the key to like so many things in life, just being present. And so that's like something I just want to keep practicing and mastering.
Yeah.
And I think it'll just help a lot of other things fall in line. I feel like if I can just be present, even like 90% of the time, I feel like if I'm just living in the present, like most of the problems you have go away. What I'm looking forward to as well, I came to the retreat kind of unexpectedly in a transition period between I was stepping away from a company that I built and I didn't really know what was next. And so I guess just I'm excited for what the future holds as I like step into potentially like building out some new business stuff, as well as looking into, I do feel called to work in the healing space. And so just figuring out what that looks like, but just realizing that I have a lot of value both in the entrepreneurial world to offer people and as well as in like the healing space. And so just how does that look like that I can, do well at both for a time and just see where it leads, I guess.
I love it.
Like I had a lot of anxiety about that. And I was like, I just felt like the weight of the world on my shoulders to provide for my family. And like, I feel like that's just not something that I feel like the things I need are going to be given to me when I need them. And so I just feel safe in that. And I'm excited for what the future could bring.
I'm excited for you. You have a very, very compassionate, loving soul. And I definitely see you working with others in this space, and particularly people who have been through what you have been through. It's, as you know, because you have been through it, those with a lot of PTSD, whether it's in your profession or you're a part of some military government hospital setting, like somewhere where you've seen a lot of tragedy and death and things like that. It's a lot for a human body to hold. And the journeys for those individuals are a lot more so than, the I'll call it the average Joe. We all have trauma in our life, but that trauma weighs on us a lot more because I don't think that's our natural state. We're not really meant to be around all that chaos all the time. And so it's a lot to work through, and to have someone who has experienced it and then can hold the space and have so much compassion, it's so needed. There's so much healing. So thank you for even being willing and open, like to tell the universe, like, make the path and I'll walk down it. But help me figure it out. It will.
Thank you.
Yeah. And to your being present comment, don't beat yourself up. I get to the end of my day sometimes and I'm like, darn it, I wasn't as present as I wanted to be, or I let them be on their phones for too long, or I was on mine, or I was thinking about this thing that was consuming my thoughts. And we got to be kind with ourselves and the whole being present thing, because it's hard. It is definitely something we need to practice more of. Yeah.
Yeah. I really like that word, practice. It's just, I just keep reminding myself of that, like in a bunch of different areas of my life. And I'm like, oh, just practice. Like I learned something different. And so I think that will be helpful for me going forward. Cause I definitely, I'm a person who likes to do things the best way possible. And so I get discouraged when I'm like, you're not measuring up to the standards you've set for yourself. So
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely key to
No
remember. Like
standards. Let's
it's a
just take
practice.
that whole
And,
idea off the shelf. Like
yeah.
every day we are just it's a clean slate. We get to just
Mhm.
start over.
Yeah, that's good to look at it that way for sure.
Yeah. What about you, Michael?
Oh gosh, what
What are you most excited about, sir?
engaging in life. I don't. Whoa, sorry. I was on pause. So, you know, I, I, I want to continue the work that I started. One of the things I want to, microdose with intention and learning to continue opening because, um, because the medicine opens doors, allows, it doesn't hide anything. And I can certainly hide things from myself real easily. I've done it for a long time. And this kind of reveals some things slowly. I love to, I'm excited to engage in life is like opening that picture window. I want to, I do want to share something.
Yes.
I practice, so I do a couple group therapy groups a week, and it's substance abuse groups. And so last week, Monday, um, so after, I've done, well, never done an event like this, but always after you do something that's very powerful, you'll want to go out and share it. You really want to, and which I really, want to do, but on a different level. So I have it, I keep thinking, who needs this? And I didn't want to think of it that way. Nobody needs this. Your life will certainly be, better off, and it's just an old personal term. But I do have a couple clients who really need this. And so one of them so happened to come in early last week. And so I said, hey, nobody's coming in. I got to tell you about this thing. And so, so I started and he was really engaged. Well, the conversation took longer and more people kind of filed in and were listening, and we were at a point where I couldn't say, I'll tell you later, it just kind of like flow into a conversation with everyone. So I ended up telling my group about my experience.
Good for you.
Awesome.
And yeah, it was really cool. And I don't know what they got out of it. I certainly, want this guy to, because
Yeah.
he needs, well, anyway.
It could be a tool. It could be a tool.
Mhm.
I know it could open up things for him because, oh boy, at any rate, but I found myself just sharing that. And actually a couple of times this, in this last week, unintentionally, my boss, I had a supervision meeting, and she said, well, how was, your retreat? Boom. I shared everything, and she was at the edge of her seat and it was like, I want to do this, and it was really funny, and it was sharing this unintentionally, meaning, I'm not out to recruit anybody, it just so happens, this experience happened and it's continuing to happen. So it's really neat to share. It was really fun to share, and I also added a few things. If well, in therapy, it's all a matter of stealing stuff. There is nothing original out there. So I did steal two things.
They're all yours.
From you, And, and it's just a simple thing, it's kind of choose to be here
Yeah, good.
and what's your intention?
Thank you. I got that from another retreat, so it's all good.
It's wonderful.
It works. It's important, as Carl
Oh, yeah.
said, being intentional,
Mm.
right?
Intention,
With your
absolutely.
day. Yeah, with what you're creating. Be intentional, because we're creating something. A lot of times we just don't know what it is, or it's
Right.
just chaos, or we just let the game make up our intentions for us and we go along, but we can be intentional. So I'm glad you're incorporating that, Michael. That's awesome.
Thank you.
You. What about for you, Josh? What are you looking forward to?
For me, I mean, I was just so ignorant to so much of this stuff that I've spent so much time listening to audiobooks and watching all sorts of YouTube videos and just really learning so much stuff that I was clueless to. And so, I mean, that's what I've been looking forward to is just, gosh, there's so much to learn. And then just being excited about, how I can apply this. And I guess like the first thing really for me was just recognizing that, gosh, that voice in my head, like sometimes it serves me well, but sometimes, gosh, that thing really hurts me. And I was so ignorant to really that dialogue. And, maybe I did some of this Colorado stuff because, that was one time when there was no voice because you're doing such aggressive stuff. And I just gravitated to it naturally, having no clue why I was even doing that, And so now knowing that, you can pull back and try to listen to that thing and decide what's really going on right now. And I just, it's exciting to know there's so much to figure out and hopefully so much more to grow and learn and, get better. So that's just so exciting.
Yeah. Welcome to a whole new world. It's like it really feels like a whole new life. You're leading your life kind of one way in one paradigm in the way that society is set up. That's just very cut and dry is what it feels like to me. And there's this whole creative side, like this whole other way that we can human that comes from connection and love and authenticity and who are you? What do you want to create? What do you want to share, teach, learn about? It's beautiful. It's so beautiful. So I am so excited for you. No time like the present.
Correct.
Awesome. What about you, Dream? Thanks for being here and for just being my partner in all of this and for holding the space for these men along this journey and several men's retreats. Over the course of this year, we've done several. This was our first year hosting men's retreats. We started in January and we're in November, and we have a co-ed retreat coming up next week or this week, I guess. And then our retreats for the year will be over. But what's been your takeaway from these men's retreats or the retreats in general? What do you want to add to the conversation? You got to unmute yourself too. Hi.
Oh, I don't like seeing my face all big like that on the
I
screen.
know, but just talk. Everyone else will love it.
What's the question? What's my takeaway? Well, I guess from this last retreat, I mean, you can speak to this with me. We got in the car and it was like leaving on a high. I mean, these were 2 great retreats. They're all great, but these were really great. And I think that just goes to show, the effort that these men really put in. When you come in and you're vulnerable and you're open and you're eager to make the changes, like the world is yours. Like, what do you want it to be? Right. You can create it. And the love and brotherhood that these guys created in that small amount of time was just phenomenal, like watching from the outside. And you think, I mean, I've been with you a year doing these retreats, Eva, and I say, I'm surprised. I'm not surprised because I'm not surprised. This happens every time, but I still am surprised. And I'm like, wow, like it's still going. It's still happening. These are more strangers coming together and creating the same thing. And it really is about love. Like when it comes down to it, and just treating others as you want to be treated. And that's what we're here for, right?
Yeah, it's been incredible. I wasn't sure when we started the men's retreats, like, gosh, I mean, I have 5 sons, but I wasn't sure that I could lead like men, I mean, this retreat, we had 21 to 71. I mean, that's just such, there's a couple of gentlemen who aren't on this call, but it's just such an age range of just life, from like really barely getting started, in life, like just coming out of like, what the heck am I doing here? Michael, to you, 71, you've lived such a beautiful life and this whole story, all these connections, and you've been through the highs and the lows and all of us in between that. And it's so beautiful and miraculous how, honestly, I believe we could bring together any 4 to 6, 8, 10 people, whatever it is, bring them together. And if you have an open mind and you have an open heart, we can connect. The power of humans, our ability to connect and to love and to hold space for one another. I shouldn't be surprised, like you said, Dream, but why? Why are we even surprised by that? I mean, this is what we're meant to do, and we just don't do it enough in this world. And I know that sounds so woo-woo, and there's the hippy dippy stuff, but it's freaking true.
I'm for it. I endorse it.
Right on.
Okay, final thoughts. Any final thoughts? Anything you want to say? I'm just going to go around one time. Carl, I'm going to start with you. And gentlemen, thank you so, so much for coming on tonight, for sharing your experience of the retreat, for being here, for choosing in, for saying yes to this experience and to us, and for trusting the process, as awkward or different as it may have felt at times, because it is so different than how we operate in the world. We get to step into modalities that maybe we've never done before, but they are powerful, Ben, as you said, and we don't have to put anything inside our bodies. We can have these experiences of connection and wholeness without anything. The medicine is just a fast forward for those of us who are kind of needing that fast forward. So Carl, for you, final thoughts, sir.
I just wish I would have done it earlier. I saw something on your website, one quote that I will echo. It's like 10 years of therapy in 3 days. And I would just echo that and wish I would have done it earlier.
Well, divine timing. You were meant to do it now for whatever reason. This was the perfect time for you. So embrace that, sir, because I believe it. I mean, the only earlier would have been, well, earlier this year, because we weren't doing it earlier. But the medicine itself has been around for a very, very, very long time.
Yes.
It really has. And there's a lot of history, and the earth is asking us to heal, and she's giving us a pretty easy way to do it. So I appreciate that. Thank you, Carl. What about for you, Ben? Any final thoughts?
Oh yeah, I'd certainly recommend going on a retreat in the retreat setting, probably than just like someone taking the medicine at home. Not that it's I think if you have a place and it's a safe spot and you have someone to be with you, it could be good. But the retreat setting is just a whole other thing. I feel like it just added so much dimension and layers to it that I just think is special. I guess I'm just really, it's just different than doing it on your own. And I really hope that it gets legalized soon, so more people really have access to this medicine that I think is badly needed.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
thanks. Michael, what about for you? Any final thoughts?
Well, once again, I really agree with you, Ben. It opens, the medicine opens door, but it's everything else that's put into this retreat that gets the results. The medicine is a part, and I value, and I got something powerful from everything we did, not just the medicine and being taken care of. I got something out of everything. Something I want to throw out too, that, I'm still working on my own stuff. Like, I'm home and I'm still me. I'm still stuck in this box, and I've got this up here to deal with, but it's a lot easier to deal with now. It just seems to be within the last week. So, you know, as I go on through life, you know, I still have me to deal with, which is, well, a blessing and a curse.
It's a blessing.
You're
You're a good
definitely a
man.
blessing to
Thank
us.
you.
What about for you, Josh?
I guess I would just say, thank you to all these guys for all their love and support, and thank you to you, Eva and Dream, just all the stuff that you did for us to allow us to have this experience and learn all the things we learned and open up all the doors. And it is definitely opening a door to give you the opportunity to really change big things and feel different, and just even have the opportunity to know that you could do that is worth everything in the world. And I just I'm very thankful for the opportunity and the experience, and couldn't say enough good things.
Thank you, sir.
Josh.
Any final thoughts from you, Dream?
Final thoughts.
Final thoughts.
I think the final thought of tonight is love and legalize psilocybin. Right? Those are my final thoughts.
I love it. Thank you all so much for being here. And thanks to everyone who stuck around this hour and listened to these gentlemen share their experiences and their thoughts with you around this medicine, the power of it, the power of the other modalities, things like breath work and meditation and yoga and tapping and cold plunging and sound healing. I mean, the list goes on and on. There's lots of healing modalities out there that we can tap into as human beings that can help us remember who we are, that we are that love, that we're here to create, that we are beautiful beings. And as woo-woo or hippie as that might sound, I believe it. And I'm here to say it over and over until more people believe it. So we can create a better world. So thank you all so much for trusting us, letting us love you and see you, and for showing up authentically, just showing up and just being freaking real with each other. It was so beautiful to watch. I love when the women at the women's retreats, they'll say, so wait, do the men do the exact same thing as we do? I can't even imagine it. I can't imagine it. They think about things like Ho'oponopono or the meditations or the amount of just tears that flow during this retreat. And the women are like, no way, no way. And we're all human. We're all human.
We're all the same.
Yes. We are. It's just this facade that we're so different. I mean, yes, there's differences, but ultimately we all desire the same thing. And it doesn't matter where you live in the world, your beliefs, the way that you look on the outside, your avatar. Ultimately, we all want connection and love and to be seen and to be real. So thank you so much for letting us create a space and coming into that space where that can be known and not just understood on a logical level, but felt in the heart. I love you, gentlemen. Appreciate
Love
you
you
all
too.
being here. And thanks everyone out there for listening to another episode of Ideas to Human Better. Don't hang up. I'm going to end the recording and say bye to you all offline. But thank you everyone else for being here today. And you can learn more about this retreat at flowliferetreat.com or down in the show notes. All right. Thanks everyone. Have a beautiful day.